Well, hello and welcome to Rainmaker University. I'm Ann Feinstein, and together with my illustrious partner, Mr. Randy Gage, we're going to be recording and posting monthly trainings on skill sets. Okay, this is the actual skills that you're going to need to become a rainmaker and build a huge team. So we're going to record these sessions, and then we're going to have the marketing department put them up with subtitles so that you and all of your partners around Rain World are going to be able to grow, to learn, and to duplicate together. So we suggest that you take some notes, and you're going to keep that organized so that every month you can review the sessions and then go back and actually implement what we're suggesting here and a lot of the hot tips. Guys, we're really excited to have you with us, locking arms together. And so I'm going to turn it over to my partner, Randy Gage. Over to you, Randy.
All right. Hey, guys, welcome. Great to be working with you guys. We're both so excited about the potential of what you can do. And that's what Rainmaker U is all about. We're here to help you with two things: to develop more customers and to enroll more partners, and train you on skill sets that can make that work easier, better, faster for you. I should note, pretty much all of these modules that you're going to see are not designed for retailers. So you have a partner who's they love to retail the products. They love to use them themselves. They want to share them with their friends and neighbors and earn enough money to pay for their own products, or maybe they're saving as they want to make a few $100s or a few €100 a month to work on their kids' college fund. They don't want to go to conventions. They don't want to go to training programs. They don't want to watch this stuff right here.
Right.
So don't drive them away, right? This is for builders, for, people who make the rain, all right? Two principles which you're going to see through all of the modules in the program. Every month we'll meet these two principles. And the first of them is, it's not about what works, it's about what duplicates.
Mm-hmm.
There are things that work great. If you take a 60-second commercial on the Super Bowl or the World Cup final, man, you could sign up 5 million people in a day. It works amazing. The problem is, none of those 5 million people is going to have the $10 million that you had to take that commercial. And even if they did, they have to wait another year for the Super Bowl or another 4 years for the World Cup. So it's not about what works, it's about what duplicates. And part of this is everything in terms of duplication is going to be built on the following formula. And this is one of those things to put in your notes and your follow-up that Ann was talking about. What is the formula for duplication? We're going to empower a large group of people to do a few simple actions for a continued or sustained period of time. So there's three parts of that, right? Part number one, a large group of people. You can't say, well, I sponsored 2 people into RAIN and I'm not a millionaire yet. How come? Doesn't this work? No, you need enough people to get traction. And you'll see as we get into some of the more advanced modules and at the live events where Ann and I will both be conducting training and leadership pre-event training, we'll talk about some of the ways you do that, to like how many lines you want to be working with and how far down in depth. And we'll get into some of the specifics. But to stick with the basic formula for now, just remember that a large group of people, so it's not 1 or 2, who do a few simple actions. So if you've spent the last 4 years studying nutrition and wellness and agriculture and how seeds incubate in the soil and how they develop into plants and what is the potency level of every seed that RAIN uses, it's not a simple action. Nobody's going to be able to duplicate that. So yes, you could go on Facebook or Zoom and you could make some amazing 3-hour presentation, wear a white lab coat and look like a world-class expert. And yeah, you probably get some customers, you probably get some partners, but nobody's going to be able to duplicate you. A few simple actions, linking people to a video, giving them a booklet or a brochure, putting them on a presentation with somebody in your sponsorship line. And then for a sustained period of time. If you get really excited with Rain and you work really hard for a month and you bring in some partners and then you disappear for 2 months because life gets in the way and you say, well, I'm going to put it on the back burner, it's going to come back and bite you. And you will lose the momentum you were starting to create and could have created. So empower a large group of people to do a few simple actions for a sustained period of time. That's the first foundational principle. And would you share with them what the second one is?
Yeah, and to go along with that, and what Randy's talking about here is that's why we want to use tools. And we refer to tools here as an external credibility tool that you have in your hand. And the reason that we want to use that, and I can talk from experience, Randy, is that, we all look, think, and know of amazing personalities out there that could probably give an amazing presentation, but that's not duplicatable. And I can tell you that the moment that I really got this concept and started to really implement the tools, and you're going to see those tools rolling out here, but external tools duplicate. Okay, being able to give somebody something that they can do the same act, that's what Randy was saying, a few simple things over a given period of time and sustain that, that's what's going to duplicate. That's what's going to create leverage. And coming out of, I came out of corporate America, and I can tell you that when I got this concept of leverage, and I realized how I could unleash that and create something that would absolutely go on and on and on and create true wealth. I know you've said this many times. I mean, you really want to walk over broken glass and through fire in order to have it. It's something that once we taste that and get that duplication going and create that kind of leverage, we never want to give that up. And as a result of that, we start working with tools. And we always like this principle, and I think this is important, so you probably want to jot this down, is that whenever you're speaking with a candidate, you want to be pointing to a tool. Because I can tell you that's imprinting in your candidate's head the biggest question that's going through their mind. And that is, can I do this too? Is this something that I could actually do myself? And if you're the introvert or you're the extrovert that's an introvert or whatever it is, okay, you're going to be thinking about that. And so is your candidate. And so that's why we want to use tools. And the second principle is that we want to be creating the right mindset. Okay, and so right from the start, you yourself are going to start dreaming big, but you're going to act very deliberately. You're going to follow a system, you're going to follow a path, you're going to follow something that is going to be simple for other people to be able to implement. And the way we do that, first and foremost, in terms of thinking big and acting deliberately, is to give meaning and vision, okay, to our business. And I can tell you guys that when I started to get this vision, okay, of how and where I wanted my life to be and how I wanted to create a lifestyle that I would really enjoy, that for me and my husband, it was really, really important as we were making, important decisions in our lives and wanted to do something together. Okay, we knew that to have a true vision of where we wanted our business to go, we sat down, we did things like a dream board. And I know Randy's really big on that. I'm really big on that. We're going to be talking about that as part of the process, but create a dream board. Because when my husband and I sat down and we put together that dream board, what we found over time is that was imprinted in our heads as to how we wanted a life to turn out to be. And one by one, we started hitting those goals in our lives. And so I can tell you guys that you want to start thinking about not only how you want your life to be, but also how you want to be solving problems out there in the world. There's so many issues that are going on today that we can satisfy here on the product side as a customer of Rain, or on the business side in terms of giving people a lifestyle opportunity. At the same time, we want to be imagining the difference that we're going to be making in the world, the impact. And I can tell you that when the picture becomes bigger than just ourselves, that's when the magic happens, because we start to leave indelible marks into the lives of other people's lives, into the lives of other families. It could be other communities, it could be other parts of your country, it could be around the world. So we're going to be talking about a ladder of escalation. In other words, as you want to start building your business, you want to be thinking about, what is the first step of the ladder? Well, we want to get you to manager as quickly as possible. And then from manager onto bronze, onto platinum, and then up through all those diamond ranks. But you know what? If you're not yet a manager, that's the first step, guys. And so that's how the ladder of escalation works. So to do that, we have to be open to learning a few new skills. And that was something that, was really exciting to me. I come from a teaching background. Randy, you probably pick up on that. But my teaching background.
That's a big thing. It's a big thing. Let me jump in on that, because
Sure.
I hope people pick up on something. I believe one of the reasons you have been so successful in the business is because you were a teacher. Mm-hmm. Because people think that what we do is mostly a selling business, but the truth is it's mostly a teaching business. And that's where this, which I know the next point on your bullet point list comes into play.
Exactly. And I guess, the teaching background makes it fun, because what we're doing here is we're transferring our belief and our feelings about what we're doing professionally to other people. And by showing them a system and helping them along the way, following a step-by-step roadmap. And we're going to call that the new partner orientation. And so, guys, you'll be seeing that, as well in, a variety of forms in your back office, and also in the kit that you started your business with here at Rain. But the point of the matter is that you want to commit, and I mean commit, okay, to not only following the system, but to do it religiously. And that we're going to be talking here in just a minute about, importance of putting together a daily method of operation. But what you need to think about right now in terms of how this works is not only learning a few new skills, but then also being willing to study them, okay, to do them, and then to teach them. And that's how we duplicate it. I have found, Randy, that, over my career in the profession is that the things that happened the fastest were when I went out there and I did something that I was taught, and then I went out and taught one of my team members. And I found that instilled it in me, it instilled it in them, and it made it real. So I want you to commit to following that system that you're going to find in the new partner orientation. But also, I want you to commit to being here a year from now. Because over the next several months, you're going to find yourself learning these new skills, following the system, creating duplication, and something pretty magical. So, Randy, talk a little bit about, the difference between entrepreneurship and being a salesperson.
Guys, if you understand this concept, it is worth a lifetime of wealth to you, because there are so many people in our space who don't understand this distinction between being a great salesperson versus becoming a well-rounded entrepreneur. We're bringing a bunch of people into the business who have never been in business before. We've taken those school teachers, those Uber and Lyft drivers, the people who work in retail at the mall, the people like me who was a dishwasher in a pancake house, right? Minimum wage dishwasher. We're taking people like that and turning them into business owners and business operators. And that's a whole different skill. So the fact that you love Pure or Form or Bright or any of the, and you're really good at sharing those with people, that's not the same thing as learning how to operate a distributorship. Because you should understand that when you become double black rain diamond, triple black rain diamond. You're running an organization that is probably producing millions of dollars in sales with thousands, even tens of thousands of entrepreneurs who are in your network. That's like getting a job working for a big multi-million-dollar company and being a CEO. So we want to create the culture when we bring in new people that they get, hey, I'm in business now. And remember, very important, this doesn't apply to retailers. We love retailers. You want to have as many retailers as people who want to retail the products. But when someone raises their hand and they say, hey, I would like to build a business. I would like to enroll other partners and get override commissions on the volume they produce with their customer base. That's what Rainmaker University is all about.
You know, Randy, I can remember something. I remember the day that I said to myself, and actually said it out loud, I'm the CEO of my own business. I'm the CEO of my own business. And I stood there in front of the mirror and I said it 3 or 4 times. And I got so excited because I realized that's going to put me in control of my life. That gives me a totally different vision, okay, than just thinking about selling a product, you know, just sharing it with somebody else, but to actually own my own business and be the CEO and create my own board of directors. So we're going to be talking about that too. Sorry, I just had to throw that in.
Love it, love it. So to build a business is going to require certain builder actions and tools. And that's what Rainmaker U is preparing you for, and your team. Because some of you listening, watching right now, you already know this. You're good at this. You've built a really nice team. But remember, now the next step is, how do you transfer that knowledge and build the belief of the people who are in your group so they are confident and able to duplicate your results? Because go back to our initial principles, right? Foundational principles. Biggest thing I could tell a new person, an old person who's been in the business for 20 years, are you really judiciously blocking off your calendar and planning your week ahead? It's really important when you're brand new, because to make this work, you need to put 10 or 12 hours a week into the business. You're going to bring in people to make it work. They need to put in 10 or 12 hours a week to do the business. Well, let me tell you a secret. Everybody you know is already using all 24 hours of every day already. They're commuting to work an hour in the morning. They're spending 8 hours at the job. They're commuting an hour back. They need to go to the dry cleaner. They need to go to the Super Bowl. The kids have got soccer practice and piano recitals, and they need to pay their bills, and they need to mow the lawn, and they go to their church, mosque, temple, or synagogue. They go to their social thing. They're on social media. They watch some TV. They need to sleep a few hours every night. They're already using all 24. So if you don't start a new person out, and you'll see this when you look at the new partner orientation that's coming out, they're like, wow, okay, I need to block off the time, and block off time for recruiting, block off times for attending presentations, block off time for follow-up. This single thing is the biggest jump from a salesperson to an entrepreneur. The 1-year commitment that Ann just mentioned, what I would tell a new partner is, hey, I want your commitment for 1 year. I don't want you to look left. I don't want you to look right. I want you to commit at least 10 hours a week for 1 year. And then after 1 year, you and I have an evaluation. We look at, what have you accomplished? How big is your customer base? What kind of bonus checks have you developed? And then if you tell me, hey, I've spent this time and it's not worth the time, I'm going to drop out. Okay, great. I'll honor that. But I don't want us to have this conversation before 1 year is up. And the other thing is, create a culture where people know, hey, if you're a retailer and you're going to make an extra couple $100 or euros a month, Great, use it. That's why you're doing it. But if you want to reach the higher ranks of the compensation plan, if you want to become a diamond or above, then we're going to say, hey, for that first year, don't take any money out of the business. All of your retail profits, all of your overrides, bonuses, commissions, reinvest them back in the business.
Mhm.
Yeah, because we're not talking about a McDonald's where you need $2 million line of credit to start or something. A Rain partnership is insanely insignificant, low investment. But if you really want to build up to the world-class level and be those Black Rain diamonds, well, then you're going to need to reinvest your profits into the business. The other thing is you've got to become proficient in the 5 basic skill sets. This is what separates the tourists and the tire kickers from the players. This is what separates the retailers from the builders. This is what separates the amateurs from the professional. You need to learn how to share the product story. And we're going to give you lots of training and tools on that. You need to know how to meet people. That's a skill. When someone says, I don't know that many people, what they're really saying is, I'm an amateur. I didn't realize to be a professional that I need to learn new skills. And one of those skills that can be learned is how to meet people.
You mean even if you're an introvert?
Especially if you're an introvert. And people would be shocked to know that I'm a pathological introvert. But I've learned and by the way, we're going to do an entire module just on meeting people coming up. So all you introverts, don't you worry about a thing. We'll show you how to put yourself into shared situations where conversations just open up naturally. So knowing the product, being able to articulate the product story, how to meet people, how to work your candidate list and use the mobile app and some other tools to do that, how to make compelling invitations, which might be one of the biggest rainmaker talents you could ever develop, because the nexus of our business is inviting. We're inviting people to home meetings, hotel meetings, online meetings. We're inviting them to watch a live stream. We're inviting them to click a link. We're inviting them. It's everything we're doing. And then, of course, the follow-up. You're going to hear all the time, the money is in the follow-up. So this is about developing those, you don't have to be an expert in them. But what we've got to do, when Ann talked about the mindset, part of that is creating the culture where people know I'm going to study, do, and teach simultaneously. I'm not going to study this for 6 months, and then I'm going to do it for 6 months, and then I'm going to try to look for new people and teach it. No. We want you to study, do, and teach in the first 48 hours. Every time you sign up a new partner, getting them into action. And you'll see that in the NPO, the new partner orientation. And then the other thing that makes this all come together, the difference between an amateur and a professional, is your method of operation. What do you do every day, every week, every month? What do they look like? So Ann, would you talk about that, please?
Yeah, sure. And I'll tell you that, the most important thing is to set yourself up for success. And you set yourself up for success by knowing what do you have to do on a daily basis to get somewhere, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, on a yearly basis, so that when you have this evaluation that Randy's talking about, you can look back and see, the activities that you were committed to. And so I like to start with, what is a daily method of operation? What are you going to do every day? And so, you might want to jot these down and then put them into your calendar so that you start to block out that time that Randy was talking about. And the first thing is 20 minutes of personal development. Now, I'll tell you, if you can double up on tasks, okay, you can actually do your 20 minutes of personal development while you're walking the dog, while you're running around and, doing even run outside, or whether you're doing your walk, or whether you're on the treadmill, or, even if you're shopping or you got to run and pick something up, but do it with intention. okay, where you're sitting down and you're learning something new. You're getting your mind in the right mindset for the day. And I can tell you that, when you get your mind in the right mindset and you're thinking about the positivity and the things that could go on and what you can create, it's amazing what opens up and the opportunities that open up when your mind starts to open up in a big way. The second thing is meeting people. And today, guys, it is a matter of a combination of online and offline. I'm going to tell you that both of them work together. It's not a matter of whether you've done it traditionally in the past, basically offline, but learning some new skills. I mean, I can tell you that both Randy and I, found ourselves learning new skills about how to do what we do in a more professional way when the online opportunity became available. And so I like to set a goal of making 5 new friends online every single day. And the way we do that is that, we're having conversations with people in various places that we're going to be talking about and teaching you in terms of getting into groups, connecting with other people, conversations, and doing this in a meaningful way, not just, liking and ticking off things, but actually having conversations. And we'll be talking about that. And adding 5 new friends every day is a goal that can be set. Second, okay, on the offline side is to meet 2 new people every day. Now, you might say, well, where do I go to do that? Well, you got to put yourself out there. Maybe it's at the gym. Maybe it's local community groups. Maybe it's, going to a show of some sort or a crafts festival or a professional environment, networking groups or just everyday life. You see somebody doing something right and you start conversations with them. That's what I started doing. I started actually looking, Randy, for people that were doing things right. Because if they're doing things right in the life that they're currently working in or the environment that they're working in, they're going to be good people to talk to about what we do. Because we're looking for people that have that, discipline, they're honorable, they're coachable, they're reliable. So we're going out into the world, whether it's online or offline, and looking for those type of people. And then, as Randy was talking about, and I know for some people, they go, oh no, make a list. Yeah, make a list. Okay. And I say make a list because those could be some of the low-hanging fruit, at least initially. Who do you know that you're dealing with your kids? Who do you know in the community? Who do you know that you work with? Who is family and friends? Who is it that you have community activities with? Those are the low-hanging fruit. And we're going to start off and we're going to show you how to make a list fast, okay, within those groups. And then we're going to teach you how to expand that list. But the first thing you got to do is you got to set the timer for those kinds of activities for 30 minutes a day, because otherwise, guys, you can get lost, falling into the tunnel and down further and further. And before you know it, you've been scrolling and talking and whatever for 2 to 3 hours. That's not necessary. If you set the timer, you've got 30 minutes to get something done. Like you got to be out of the house, you got to be at an appointment, you got to keep moving. I found busy people get themselves organized. Okay. And as a result of that organization of what you do daily to meet people, to work your list, okay, to not only grow your list, but also to engage with your list. And this is where it can get goes into an interesting direction, because a lot of people think they're engaging, with people. Imagine if you just went up to everybody and went, hi, hi, hi. There's no engagement there. Well, that's what the likes are. But if you actually see something, a post or a story, or you met somebody in person, you'd have a conversation like a human. Well, we do the same thing online. We have human conversations online with people. And you know what? That starts to build rapport and a relationship. And the biggest thing I found, Randy, is to get people to know, like, and trust you. Okay. And the way we do that is growing the list, engaging with the list, having meaningful conversations, text, it could be on some of the apps, like, I don't know, WhatsApp. It could be, on the Facebook app. It could be Messenger, however you communicate with those people that you begin to think about and approach, okay, for your business. So I'm going to be talking about the best ways to approach. but you want to
So
be
that's
thinking.
every day. What you said was daily self-development time,
Exactly.
meeting people and working the candidate list. That's like a daily MO. Then
Exactly.
what's the weekly one?
Well, the weekly one, okay, is, and again, we want to make this a concept that we put into practice. So we have to block the time out. We want to check in with our customers. We want to close out the week. Okay, we want to make sure that we're checking to see where we are in terms of rank advancements and where our team is in terms of rank advancements as we start to build our team. We want to be getting candidates in front of presentations. So we have to sit down and block out time for inviting and getting people in front of presentations online or offline or through video or replays. And then we want to also block out the time that we're going to participate in leadership academies, which you'll be hearing more about shortly, as well as opportunity presentations. So these are weekly activities. Then on the monthly side, we want to close out the month. Okay, we're going to look at our rank qualifications for ourselves, make sure that we're ticking off all the marks there. We want to be building to the next event. Guys, we use a ladder of escalation for rank advancement, and we're going to hear us talk about a ladder of escalation in terms of presenting, okay, the products and the opportunity to the candidates you'll be speaking about in a series of activities, and that's another ladder of escalation. So you've got your daily, your weekly, your monthly activities, and then you want to be creating a culture of recruiting, okay? Because this is going to be something that everybody in your team is going to duplicate. So Randy, talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, and not just a culture of recruiting. Here is the lección más importante, okay? I mean, really, in terms of recruiting, the difference between the grinders and the tire kickers and the people who are struggling versus the leaders who are living incredible lifestyles because they have developed huge teams and high volume with thousands and thousands of customers and builders and partners who are creating those customers. And the distinction is between passive recruiting and active recruiting. And if you really get this one thing, this is one of those, when Ann and I sit down and we sculpt out the training for you guys, what we're looking for is truth bombs. We're looking for when you hear that, you say, oh, I've been doing this business for 7 years and nobody ever told me that before. Or, wow, I've been approaching candidates this way. And now Ann just suggested a opening line that would be amazing that I could go right through, right? So when we work for you guys, right? Everything we do is dedicated to help you get more customers, enroll more partners. So we want as many truth bombs per minute as we can squeeze into these training modules each month. And the truth bomb here is, wow, there's a huge difference between active recruiting and passive recruiting. And here's what it is. Most of the people in the business and most of the people in Rain right now are passive recruiters, meaning they're going through their life day to day. Life is busy. Life gets in the way. They're doing the stuff we talked about. They're going to the dry cleaner and they're paying the bills and they're, talking to the pool boy or mowing the lawn or whatever the case. And if they happen to meet somebody who identifies themselves unknowingly as a candidate, boom, they jump into action. So they're talking to somebody at work, they're at the in the break room microwaving their lunch, and there's someone else in there, and that someone says, yeah, man, how you doing? You ask them how they're doing, and they're like, oh man, I'm just so tired every day, by like 3 PM, my brain is foggy and I feel sleepy and I just want to lay my head down in my cubicle. Bam! You jump into action. Oh my goodness, this is a nutrition issue. Let me tell you about the power of seed source nutrition. Great. They've identified a problem. You've identified how you can solve the problem. That's still passive recruiting. Another scenario, you're out in the going around doing what Ann said, and you're meeting people, and somebody happens to identify the need of their business, of their lifestyle. Like, yeah, I have this job, but I don't really, I'm just doing it until I can find something better. My boss doesn't really appreciate me. I've been trying to get a raise for a year and a half now, and they're cutting back on the budget, or they're telling you, man, I'm just worried, man. There was 80 people working in our office and 30 of them got laid off about 6 months ago. Now there's rumors coming in that maybe another 10 or 20 jobs are going to be cut. I don't even know from week to week if I'm still going to have a job. Boom, you're going to jump into action. Oh my goodness, let me tell you about the RAIN opportunity. That's great. They've identified a problem. You can show them a solution to that problem. That's still passive recruiting, because you waited for a prospect, a candidate, to beg you to tell them about your business. So when we talk about active recruiting, and you're going to see, we're going to hammer this at all of the live events. We're going to hammer it in a lot of these modules. It's where you take that planner that we talked about, you actually block off the time, and you say, okay, on Sunday night, I am doing inviting. So, it's there's not a lot of people we call anymore, right? If you talk to anybody under 35 years old, if you just call them, that's like a hate crime. Okay. They're like, why are you calling me? Is it an emergency? Because they expect you're going to text them, or they expect you're going to WhatsApp them or Signal them, or you're going to send a messenger on Facebook or whatever. So a lot of the inviting is with WhatsApp. Some of the inviting is going to be on social media. Some of it's going to be on text. And again, we have a whole module coming up that'll be just devoted to inviting, how to make compelling invitations. So I'm not going to get into the weeds of what that is now. What I want you to understand now, this big picture principle, is that that's the difference, is you will create a culture in your team where people block off time in their planner each week for recruiting and follow-up. And that's what we mean by active recruiting. So when you make the jump, it's like Han Solo and Chewbacca when the Millennium Falcon goes into light speed. That's the difference when you understand, wow, even though me and my team, we all love the products, we talk about them at every opportunity we see, and we talk about the business at every opportunity we see, I never realized until now I've actually been doing passive recruiting. Mm-hmm. And now it's time to create a culture of active recruiting. When you do that, I'm telling you, that's when you have pulled back the throttle and you go into light speed, and those stars just become a blur. So those are the big points we want you to wanted to get across in terms of, this is the business of the business. This is how an entrepreneur runs a successful direct selling, network marketing, distributorship like you have as a RAIN partner. So, and final thoughts?
Yeah, get ready, guys. Okay, we're excited to be your surrogate sponsors, and we're going to be putting out a new training session every month. Okay, and you'll get notified about that. It'll be in your back office, as you're seeing here. And come back often and review them over and over again. Okay, because what you're going to find is that this is going to become part of the platform that you're going to want to build upon, and you're going to want to make sure your team members are jumping in on the track with you so that you can lock arms, okay, and really, make something magical happen. As we say, become a rainmaker. So Randy, close it out and let's get started here, because I'm excited about what we have going on.
Yeah, what we mean by what Ann just said is that you build this platform into your culture.
Exactly.
So you see, the modules that when you first enroll someone in the business, these are the modules they need to see. And then you use these modules to create better, stronger, deeper duplication. Yes, you could spend an hour and a half doing role play with one of your new partners on how to make invitations. That's an hour and a half, and maybe you're amazing at it. You could be the number one person in the team for making compelling invitations. But you know what? Every time you're doing that 90-minute training, you're not building your own business. You're not making your own compelling invitations. So imagine if you could instead direct your new partner to, hey, look at module 3, and that shows you exactly how to do ABC. Oh, you've got a problem with DEF? Go to the platform, look at module number 7, call me as soon as you're done. What are we doing there? Instead of solving problems for our partners, we're teaching them how to solve their own problem. One of the other underlying themes you're going to see from Ann and I all through the training and the agendas is, hey, never do anything for a partner they're capable of doing for themselves. Because if you are, you're creating dysfunction, you're creating entitlement mentality, and you're killing your duplication. So as you see, Ann and I are really passionate about this idea of duplication, about being an entrepreneur. And we can't even begin to tell you how impressed we were with Byron and Travis, and how excited we were when they brought in Jeff Higginson. The team that's put together, the marketing team, the investment the company is making in you, in your team. They have stepped up in a big way to say, we are going to create a fresh new story of Rain International that nobody's ever heard of before, because we've always had that seed source nutrition story. We've always had the product quality, the production capacity. What we didn't have was maybe all of the tools we need and the training we need so those partners can really achieve the highest level of success. So Ann and I are your surrogate sponsors, as she called it, and we're committed to your success. So go out, have an amazing day, be amazing, and we'll talk to you in the next model.
Let's go make it rain.